Yep, I drank the 300 Blackout Kool-Aid and had some pretty mixed results. I should explain that I'm looking at the 300 Blackout from the point of view of a hunting cartridge, you know, for deer or something like that, and that's what people are, you know, saying it's good for. But in reality, I don't think that's really the case. Mark Twain once said, lies, lies and damn statistics. So I'm going to modify that and I'll say lies, lies and damn ballistics. Some rocket scientist did some mathematical gymnastics and come up with the idea that the 300 Blackout was just the berries for a whole lot of things. But I'm dealing with just its use as a hunting cartridge. Just to give you some idea of comparison, there's a 3006 cartridge, and I think you can see that difference in size, and that will highlight the obvious problem. So let's start off with dispelling a few of the myths about the 300 Blackout. Now, one of the myths going around is that it shares similar ballistics to the 7.62 by 39 or the 3030. Now, there's a lot of old timers who will swear by the 3030 as a deer hunting cartridge, and so they should, because it's one of the iconic hunting cartridges. You know, you think iconic deer hunting cartridges, you think the 3006, 3030, 308. But yeah, the 7.62 by 39, it's a wee bit different because it's a military cartridge and it's got its name from being a great penetrator, mainly because, you know, it's been used with full metal jacket bullets. But if you and the 7.62 by 39 is not a bad hunting cartridge, but you know, if you put a soft nose bullet in it, that's, yeah, it's not really the same as the 3030. And the 300 Blackout, see, even less powerful than that. So the 7.62 by 39 is marginal, the 300 Blackouts, yeah, quite underpowered. Now, everyone's going to say, no, it's almost the same, and I've got figures, and yeah, Zebediah Flintlock said that it was, yeah, almost identical to the 7.62 by 39, but that's not the case. Now, from the loading I've done, and I've used the 7.62, there's generally about 200 to 300 feet per second difference in speed. Now, you may not think that's a lot, and if you're talking the difference between say a 22 250 and a 220 Swift, 200 or 300 feet per second isn't really relevant. But when the bullet's only going, you know, 2,000 feet per second, 2,200 feet per second, 200 or 300 feet per second, quite a lot. Or you could look at it a different way. The 7.62 by 39 can fire about an extra 15 grains at the same speed as the 300 Blackout. So in reality, the 300 Blackout is really probably closer ballistically to just the 30 carbine. And yeah, everyone's familiar with the 30 carbine, I guess, and its capabilities as a hunting cartridge. And it was never designed for that, and in reality I don't think the 300 Blackout is really a hunting cartridge either, for a lot of reasons. Yeah. So the second myth is that that the 300 Blackout performs quite well in the AR platform. Yeah, it may function well, but that's where it starts and finishes, really. And as I mentioned before, you know, you take a cartridge that's marginal anyhow, and you put it in a short barrel semi-automatic, and that doesn't make sense. So while it functions well, and you know, all the rest of it, you've really just made a very average cartridge even more average by doing that. Third myth. Well, the third myth is that you you can shoot subsonic and it still functions in the semi-auto. And again, it may function, but is it in any use as a subsonic cartridge? And certainly not for hunting, I would say. You know, if you really must go subsonic, you go for something like that, a 45-70 with 500 grains of lead in it. Now, put a suppressor on that and you could actually, you know, potentially drop quite a few deer. I mean, the 500 grain cartridge, when it's loaded as fast as it goes, only does 1400 feet per second or something, you know, for a mild load. And so you're not actually losing that much by going subsonic. So, you know, you put one of those in a single shot, stick a suppressor on it, and you've actually got a relevant hunting cartridge. So the whole thing actually comes down to horsepower. More correctly, your power to weight ratio. Now, again, I'll go back to the 308 or the 3006, and you compare that to the 300 Blackout cartridge. Just doesn't make sense. Now you might say, oh, the 3006 is too powerful, but no, it's not. It's just right. And I've got this theory, backed up by quite a lot of practical examples, that every calibre has a sort of a sweet spot, you might say. You know, a certain size bullet at a certain speed. Now, for the 30 calibre, there's no advantage of having, say, a 300 Magnum at short ranges. In fact, it's probably less effective than something like a 3006 or a 308, because you want to, say, a 150 grain bullet travelling at about 2,800, 2,900 feet per second, and you want an impact velocity probably over 2,500 feet per second. Now, the 300 Blackout doesn't even do that on a good day with the lightest bullet that you can put in it. Whereas, you know, I have loaded these with a 150 grain bullet. It's one of those ones there, and it went all right. And it was the longest kill I had with one of these, and it was about over 200 metres. But because I was using the heavier, slower bullet, I did the necessary mathematical calculation for holdover, and I managed to hit what I was shooting at. But it also highlighted how ineffectual it was. Now, I shot a hare at over 200 metres, 217 metres I think it was, but it certainly didn't kill it. Now, if I'd have taken that shot with a 223, the animal would have been dead, for sure. And there's the problem. You need a certain speed for a 30 calibre bullet. If you're firing something like a 45 calibre bullet, then because you've got the extra weight and the bigger calibre, you can drop the speed a bit. So, you know, a 45 calibre bullet still, if you're using something in the vicinity of 400 to 500 grains, is still quite effective when you're down below 2,000 feet per second. And if you're using something like a 223 bullet, you need a wee bit more speed to go with that. So, you know, with the 223, I've found that if you're shooting deer-sized animals with it, then contrary to what you might think, you don't want to go too heavy because you lose too much speed. And so I've found that you probably don't want to go over 60 grains as a deer cartridge, a deer bullet in the 223. So everyone has its sweet spot. Now, you can explain it another way. This is a 308. This is a 300 Blackout. The 308 is doing the same speed as the Blackout when it leaves the barrel at, you know, between 400, 500, 600 metres. So you can think of it another way. You're trying to shoot something with a 300. If you're trying to shoot something with a 300 Blackout, it's the same as shooting it with a 308 when the animal's 500 metres away. Now, add another couple of 100 metres to that, or 100 metres if you're shooting a deer, and all of a sudden becomes 600 metres away. Just another way of thinking about it, and it certainly highlights the real issue. And what I found, was when you're shooting animals, and I've loaded up a whole variety of bullets. I tried the wee short fat 30 carbine bullets, and they were really effective at close ranges, but it was quite noticeable if you're shooting, say, goats or hares or something, that at 30 metres it was quite destructive, at 40 metres it was pretty destructive, 50 metres it was still making a really good job of what it shot, but then it got to like 65, 70 metres and it was almost like the bullet didn't expand at all. And I found that with most bullets that I tried, that I loaded, that once you got past a certain range there was no expansion, and not a lot of killing power. So I guess I shouldn't be too negative about things, but you know, people might say, well, the 300, you know, Blackout works in an AR platform. So is there something better there in the AR platform? And I'd say yes. For hunting, you go back to the original cartridge that it was designed for, the 223 or 5.56, and just stick a 60 grain bullet in it and drive it as fast as you can. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's a lot better deer cartridge. And people make the assumption that, you know, a 30 caliber bullet should be better than a 5.56 bullet. But again, it comes back down to horsepower. If you don't have the power behind it, then you get quite shallow penetration, or you get over penetration if you're using a bigger, heavier bullet, because you don't have enough speed to generate any expansion. So I hope I've explained myself well. I'm not saying that the 300 Blackout can't be used on deer. If you're hunting from a stand or something and you know that the further a shot you're going to take, you know, 65 metres or something, and then by all means use it. But the sort of hunting I do is, you know, you never know whether you're going to shoot something at 50 metres or 300 metres. It's just the nature of the country you're hunting. And so, as a hunting cartridge, the 300 Blackout's not for me. I think I'll go back to the 223 or the whatever. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say, really. I realise it may disappoint some people to know that you know, the 300 Blackout's not the everything's made out to be. So yeah. So to sum it up, think twice before buying a Blackout. And I'm willing to bet in a few years, basically nobody will be using them, and I think it'll just die a natural death. I don't think it'll be ever used for law enforcement or anything like that, and I can't see why it should be. There's plenty of other options out there. So really, I think the 300 Blackout was just a bit of a marketing exercise. It's one of those things that are probably more than any other cartridge that's been released in the last 20 or 30 years. The 300 Blackout's one of those ones that might look good on paper, but just doesn't measure up when it out there in the field. So yeah, let us know what you think. Put some comments. Maybe share some of your experiences with the 300 Blackout. And again, I'll just leave you with the with this vision again, and really that's where it starts and finishes. Yeah, that's a hunting cartridge. That's not. Oh, by the way, does anyone want to buy a 300 Blackout?